G'day everyone, Duckville here. We're going to watch a game from a Hwangsin replay pack that was actually just posted on PlayXP. I'm not actually sure if this is out somewhere else on the net, but he is a very decent Protoss player from the Korean scene. Of course, he is actually on the team It's Gosu, but he has been doing a nice job recently. I believe he did he had some great games at the recent MLG. I totally forgot to check, but he's going to be up here at the 12 o'clock position as the red Protoss on Metalopolis. This is obviously says Eliza, but that's actually is Hwangsin. I can confirm that that indeed is him, putting his pylon in an interesting spot. His opponent, though, is going to be a blue Zerg just floating an Overlord over to have a look at what's happening. This is going to be NSP Joon. I don't actually know if Joon is one of the higher level players in the Korean scene, but we'll see what he can pull up with here against Hwangsin. And as we can see, Hwangsin now scouting across, and we'll find out exactly where his opponent is. Did see, of course, that Overlord was floating over, and big sign, of course, that is where your opponent is. So he is going to have a look through here. You can see no gas, no pool, so he is going to be okay to play the game normally to start with, and we'll find out what he's going to go for in a second. Going to head down to that natural and make sure he's keeping a watchful eye on when the drone comes down to try and get a hatchery down. Meanwhile, back at the base of Hwangsin, he's going to get his gateway down. We'll probably just see a standard sort of play here from him. He's not actually one known for massively crazy sort of antics, but we'll see what he gets up to. But of course, if you are watching this actually sort of not long after I've posted it, you'll know that recently had a little bit of trouble with with a YouTube copyright claim from a particular company. So if you are aware of that, you'll know that I have had to limit some of the matches I've been doing recently to 15 minutes, of course, because I've been restricted to 15 minutes uploads. If you want to know more about that, make sure you jump on YouTube. On duckvillelol.com, and you can have a look there. So at exactly what I'm ranting on about. But it looks as if we're going to get that cyber up here from Hwangsin. Meanwhile, back at the base of Joon, it looks as if he's going to get that the spawning pool up. Gas is on the way, and the natural base is going to be coming up very soon as well. So all very standard indeedly do here from these players. A probe just sitting out here controlling the watchtower, giving good vision, of course, of if there are going to be any early pressure attacks here from Joon. Of course, you get good vision of the gold, you get the other watchtower if needed, and of course you get this main highway that heads up this side of the map. So he's going to be well prepared if anything comes along, but of course we're going to be in a Protoss versus Zerg where you rarely ever get some sorts of attacks at this point of the game. Probably in the next, maybe in about 3 to 4 minutes, when we hit that 8-minute mark, that's when you can run into a bit of trouble if you are a Protoss who is fast expanded. But looking at what Hwangsin is up to here, he is actually just getting that third pylon up, I think. Just sort of looking at the mineral income, we'll just see exactly what happens here. Of course, I did get that second gas up, which will signal that there will be a lot of sentries opening up the start of the game, and he is actually just pushing down the ramp just a tiny bit here, which could signal that he is going to go for a one-gate expand, and I think it definitely will be, because he's about to put that pylon down at the bottom of the ramp, blocking off, of course. Some people, you see this particular block off, and you think that that's going to be fine to get some lings through, but it's actually not, so don't worry about that, and we'll see what he gets up to here, because this is a very interesting build. Of course, it actually used to be used a lot on this map. You would do a one base expand, get your 3 gates up in total, and then hit up some void rays to make sure you are prepared against any sort of roach attacks that can come in early in the game. As we mentioned before, that sort of 8-minute timing is where you can run into a bit of trouble as a Protoss. But the other advantage of it, of course, is that you can get those, actually that is a lot of lings for this stage of the game, and he is going to try and pressure here, but as we said, the void ray, of course, can be used for denying the third base of a Zerg. So I'm very interested to see what Joon is going to do with those lings. Of course, he's not going to get too much done because there are just way too many sentries here. You can block off, you can force field up, you can really just redesign the map, of course, is pretty much the whole point of having the sentries around, is so you can redesign, make sure you're blocking out units, and then actually use that to your advantage. So what we would want to see here from Joon is actually taking this this third base very quickly, of course, as a Protoss who is doing a one-gate expand, which is obviously a signature of that is that you put the gateways out here at the natural. It's not always done this way, but it is a common way to do it, is that you can see buildings builds where people will still get the second and a third inside the main, but it looks as if we're going to have a DT opening here from Hwangsin. He's going to get that shrine up and running as quickly as he can. Lings do have speed, so they will be able to run away as quick as possible here, and it looks as if we're going to get a lot of spine crawlers up at the natural expansion of June. So he's doing quite well on his harvest account as well, sitting up at 40 drones at the moment. We've just seen that the second gas down at the natural is going up. In fact, the third as well. Would not be surprised to see the fourth going up. There it is. So we are going to get straight into it here, but it looks as if we're going to have an attempted attack here at the natural expansion. Not really going to get too much done here. There are just a few too many units actually camping out at the natural base here for Hwangsin, and of course the Lings will take a lot of damage from the Zealot if it gets in range, and then of course you do have to worry about these sentries force fielding things in, and it looks as if we've got an Overlord actually scouting inside the main base of Hwangsin, actually spotting that Dark Shrine. I always go to call it DT Shrine, I don't know. But is going to pick that up and is going to be well prepared for that, no doubt. We'll probably see a Spore Crawler go up. Where is it? No, it's not here. But he is going to... He does have the Evo Chamber, and there it is. He's going to get a Spore Crawler up and running just to make sure he is defended against that DT. In fact... not really sure what that was, actually just moving the positions of both of those buildings there, just trying to actually make sure that he can run out through the main here. The positioning is where it was before, actually block that off totally. So, but he is going to get the Spore Crawler up at that nat to make sure that it is protected. We're going to have an Infestation Pit coming up quickly there, along with the Roach Warren as well. So we're going to get that probably some pretty quickly Infesta play here. Would not be surprised if we see something along the lines of that Infested Terran Bust, which you do see a lot of the time. You grab out a lot of Lings, and then you actually pick up a few Infestors and chuck down a lot of those beach balls, and just try and destroy your way through the Protoss natural expansion here, which is a very common tactic, which is sort of becoming a common tactic. A lot of people seem to be doing that a lot. It took its fancy on the Korean server and is now starting on the NA server. You see it a little bit as well, but it looks as if we're going to have that third taken here by June. He's going to pick up that hatchery there, and now it does look as if we've got an attack coming in here from Hwangsin. He's got a few Stalkers here, a few Sentries as well, with a lot of energy. So he is going to need to be careful here. There are a whole fleet of Spine Crawlers here. They are actually just hanging out. We got a few Lings as well. We've got Blink now done as well, so he is going to be able to blink inside the main. In fact, blocking off the main, so he can't actually get in with the Lings. Looks as if these Sentries are going to be able to hold off the Lings for the time being. They're going to be able to laser their way through the rest of these Zerglings if they can. Beautiful force fields there from Hwangsin. Is actually going to block out the main base again, actually with these Stalkers inside, able to do a lot of damage. We've got vision for this pylon, of course, as well, and it looks as if he is going to do a ton of damage. The drone's trying to escape up to the top right-hand corner, but they're not going to get too much done, of course. It looks as if the Lings tried to come again and attack the sentries. Luckily, beautiful force fields there, providing him with a defense against those Lings, and it looks as if the Lings are going to try and do a run by here. We're going to try and get some walling off done here by Hwangsin. Luckily for him, he had a few Zealots that warped in just in time, and they are going to be able to block out these Lings for the moment, but it looks as if the damage is being done inside the main of June. We're going to lose this lair, hatch, the Infestation Pit, no doubt. And this is going to be a great little play here from him. Interesting to see that the main base is not actually walled off just at the moment, but a lot of Infestors have popped out. We've got 5 Infestors total, of course. This third base will get up and running pretty quickly there for June, and he is going to start re-walling off this main so that he can get the job done. The Infestation Pit will go down in a second. The lair, of course, we just saw that go down as well. But it looks as if the defenses of Hwangsin have held out for the moment. He's going to get a robotics facility on the way as well, and we will probably see him actually just sit in a very comfortable position at the moment. With the tech gone, the lair is gone, of course, and we'll see if June is actually going to try and get that lair back up and running. I would not be surprised if he tries to get it done as quick as possible. Looks as if the Lings tried to come back for a counter attack and try and take out that pylon. They were not successful. We've got a little guerrilla force just sitting in here inside the main. We've got 4 sentries, 3 zealots just sitting in here, trying to make sure that June does not expand. He can see them, of course, so he's not going to be worried about that, but what he will need to do is get back inside that main if he can. Of course, he really needs to get on those minerals, not to mention those extractors, to make sure that he is getting his full complement of resources coming through. But he does have these infestors, which will be very interesting to see how he uses these. Of course, we did mention before that infested Terran push, where you can take a lot of Lings and just bust in with a whole lot of DPS that comes from the Lings and of course the infested Terrans as well. And it is an interesting push, and I think we may see it. We're going to need a lot more Lings out here for Joon. He's only got this small contingent of Lings that is just pushing up the map at the moment, but he certainly could do it. We've got a lot of bunched up units here for Hwangsin that is actually quite dangerous to see. We'll see if here come more Lings, so he is going to have a little crack at this, I would say. We got a lot of energy built up inside these infestors as well. Will he be able to see that clump in time? Yes, he does. He's going to move across, put down that fungal growth, and there it is, doing a great deal of damage there to those units, of course, holding the zealots in place. And there go the beach balls, the infested Terrans being thrown over that net of force fields there, and they are going to be able to do a lot of damage. Of course, they do a great DPS there. They do 9 damage, and they almost do it per second. They're actually quite huge, but it looks as if he is going to be able to hold off for the moment here. There are just a few too many Protoss units at the moment. Got to wait until those infested Terrans die. You don't want to actually waste any shields or health against those infested Terrans, but he is going to try and push through there. Looks as if one of the gateways has gone down. The second will survive for the moment here, but what this has done is that this has allowed Hwangsin to actually get his third base up and running. So while that's all been going on, he's gotten this up and ready to roll. He's going to need to transfer some probes across. Here they go. But this is actually boding quite well. And in fact, down at the third base of Joon, he's actually suffered here from some sentries actually being dropped into the third base here, and they're going to force field out those Lings, and they are going to be able to hold off for just for the moment here. But in fact, a few Lings did get inside. They're going to strip away at the shields and the health of those units, and eventually we will see these units go down unless he escapes. It looks as if he is going to escape. There is in fact a fourth base up and running here for Joon as well, so he definitely does have the potential to stay inside the game. The problem is going to be actually getting his tech back up and running. We can see that the lair is only just now coming back into fruition. This warp prism is just going to hang off the side here, can provide a lot of distraction there, of course, and now we can see a few observers just going to scout out across the map and see exactly what is going on here, and Hwangsin will be able to be prepared to commit to any sort of tech. We can see that the Templar are done. He's got a few storms up his sleeve, of course, and now we'll see that that very signature wall here at the third base blocking off this side of the ramp, so you can't actually get up. Of course, we've got double forge coming up here from Hwangsin as well, but keeping an eyeball on exactly what is happening here is the brilliant part of what he is doing, just making sure that he's not actually getting too committed to what he is about to attack to. Not actually sure if this is the best idea from Hwangsin. That fungal growth that could come off will be very interesting here. Templar actually at the back, not in range to feed back those infestors just yet, but he could get there in just a second. Looks as if he is just going to hang off for the moment here and not actually get into a fight just yet. There are a lot of roaches here. The roaches, of course, only have their +1 to upgrades. We've had one of these evolution chambers pumping away at that, but we'll have to see what is going on here. We actually have a drop. Sorry, I did miss that one. We actually have a drop here with the prism actually taking out the fourth base. In fact, the third also going down to a bunch of zealots that came through, and it looks as if we're going to have a committed attack here from Joon. He is going to just try and bust through. This is his only hope. Putting down a great wall of force fields there is Hwangsin, doing a great job there, putting up that wall, just making sure that the Lings and the roaches cannot get through. Of course, if they were to bust through with those beach balls, you would be in a lot of trouble, but it looks as if he is going to have to try and contend with this anyway. A lot of those infestors, putting down the infested Terrans, they're going to be doing a lot of damage, but Storm is going to rip through every single thing here. Of course, the roaches don't care too much about the Storm, but they have taken a lot of damage, and there are a whole bunch of Stalkers there, and that is it. And we have seen a great little tactic there from Hwangsin, blinking in the Stalkers, blocking off the main, warping in more units, and then just using that warp prism, of course, to his advantage to take care of the external bases that Joon had. So just putting Joon in a terrible position once that lair was lost, and we can see that the Stalkers will be able to win the end of that game. So hope you guys enjoyed that game. If you want to see some more, make sure you do subscribe and rate and give me some feedback, share the love, and I'll get as many games up as possible. Cheers.